Welcome to another edition of Friday Night Bible Study with the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. Tonight, in this month, Atonement, we're coming to you from Englewood, New Jersey at 158 West Englewood Avenue. We thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is a very special month in the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, this month, Atonement, and we have a very, very interesting topic for you tonight. But before we get there, we want to do some housekeeping. We always want to let you know that as the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, we hold no affiliation with any other group going by the name Israelite. We do not add anything to that name. We do not take anything away from that name. We don't put anything on the front or on the end. We are simply Israelites. So if you're seeking the truth and you want to be taught in the proper way in which this Bible is written and who this Bible is written for, then make sure you are reaching out to the right organization, the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. We have locations that are here in Englewood, New Jersey, St. Louis, Missouri, Atlanta, Georgia, London, England, and even headquartered in Toronto, Canada. So with that said, I have with me here today Mr. Jermaine Edwards to my right and Elder Tony Walker to my left. Welcome, gentlemen.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I know.
Since we've sat together like this. We've been out on the streets doing the Remember the 400 work. Yeah. And now that month is done, the month of Freedom Month is over. We are now in our calendar and we are in the month of Atonement. And we know that this being the 7th month, it's a very special time of year for us. It is not the beginning of the year for us. It's actually our 7th month. And the reason we know that is because the Bible tells us so.
Right.
And the scripture teaches us that Atonement is the 7th month of the year.
Yeah.
And all the holy days, all the holy times that we have in this 7th month also allows us to identify this time. So we follow no other philosophy. We follow no other religion, so to speak, because Israel is the true religion.
Right.
And we get our teachings from the scriptures. So with that said, what I want to talk about today this is a very special night, actually. This is the evening of Atonement, of the Day of Atonement.
Day of Atonement.
So we want to talk a little bit about the Day of Atonement, what that means for us, how we get that instructions, and some of the things that we do during this time. And before we go there, as a part of housekeeping as well, we want to make sure that we're all on the same sheet of music. So we use the 1611 version of the King James Bible. We don't use any other Bible. This is the one that is prescribed for us to use as Israelites. And if you want to get a little bit more understanding as to why we use that scripture, just look at our recent podcasts. Elder Michael Hines gave a great summary as to why we use the 1611 version, even from a historic standpoint. So if you want to get a better understanding, unfortunately, we really don't have enough time tonight to go into that, but you can definitely look at our podcasts and get that information. So in using this 1611 version, we also want to make sure that we establish and that everyone understands that the laws still apply.
Right.
Why do we keep the Day of Atonement? The Day of Atonement is talked about in the quote-unquote Old Testament. But we know that as Israelites, the Bible is one continuous book.
Right.
We don't separate it into old and new. It's all one story about one people.
One people.
So let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 5. And if Elder Tony, you'd like to read from verses 17 to 19.
All right. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. When most stuff not fulfilled, they feel that he came and the law was done away with, but
Right.
we want to get into that.
Right.
For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, not one or one tilt shall in no wise be passed from the law, till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called the great in the kingdom of heaven. Not be good that we're going to be in heaven, but the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
So that's something we all, before we came into Israel, thought that, hey, we're going to heaven.
With
and
the cats and the dogs and everything, right?
Everything, and I'm going to be riding around on a Mercedes or a cloud someplace, all this stuff,
Well, that
That's
1964 convertible.
Better leave it, right? But now speak about the kingdom, and not, but people just don't have that understanding. Like
Exactly.
we have been blessed to have that understanding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is Jesus, teaching
Right.
and talking about what his purpose was and what he came for. Because he knows as the Messiah, there are so many stories out there about, what he was about and what he was supposed to do. And even until this time, like you mentioned, people say, oh, well, Jesus came, so all that stuff is done away with.
Yeah.
We don't need to do that anymore.
Just that one Lord.
But the last time we checked, we're still here on earth,
Right.
And heaven is still there.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, heaven and earth shall not pass,
Right.
right? So heaven and earth has to be gone for the law to be done away with, right? And what law could he be talking about but the law that was given to his forefathers?
Right.
He says, destroy the law or the prophets,
Right.
right? We know he's not talking about men. He's talking about the actual teachings that are in there.
Right.
So Jesus himself establishes that this law goes far beyond him and even lives far beyond us in this time.
Right.
So if that's the case and people say they follow Jesus, then they should really be following the law.
So that now, and just to add to that, Kurt, now you can see, because it's something that we did before, right? And now we can understand where the confusion or the subtleness of the deception comes in. Because here we are in the New Testament, this is Jesus, the Christ speaking, right? And then they're going to say the law is no more, but he's saying it still exists.
Right.
And in the book of 1 John 3 and 4, it says sin is the transgression of the law. So if sin, this breaking of the law is sin, then it means the law still exists.
There has to be something.
There has to be something
if there's
exists.
sin,
If
there
you're
has to
going
be
right.
Absolutely, man. It's so true.
But they keep the law, that one law that they replaced all the other laws with just one. That one law, love.
Love, right?
All you gotta do is just love everybody.
Yeah, and you look
and
all
that's
through
it.
here.
All of those commandments were done
Yeah.
away with just because that one love.
Right. There's
And
no
then yet-
law
yet-
that says.
Yet if I've been not walking in a bad neighborhood,
you'll get a lot of love.
gonna get a whole lot of
You'll
love.
get a whole lot of love.
Bang bang.
So, as we said, so here's Jesus
Mhm.
saying that the law still applies, and
Right.
even far beyond him that the law will still be there. Let's fast forward a little to the book of Luke. We'll read Luke chapter 22, verse 8. Yes, Luke 22, verse 8. And again, we're establishing that the law still applies, that the law was before Jesus, was during Jesus' time, and is after, long after Jesus, and even in our time that the law still applies. So we're just establishing that.
Verse
so
8.
Luke 22, 8.
Okay. Luke 22, 8. And he sent Peter and John, saying, go and prepare us the Passover, that we may eat.
Okay, so here's Jesus in his time,
Right.
telling his disciples, go and do what?
Go and
Prepare the Passover.
Right.
So he's still keeping the law, right? And just like our young men gave such a great message the other night, talked about Jesus being circumcised on the 8th day, and following the traditions of his forefathers in the way that he was brought up. So if that's the way he was brought up and he was taught, then that's the way he lived.
Right.
He lived according to the law. So if you're gonna say you're following Jesus, then you should be following what he did, right?
Yeah.
Well, they say, what would Jesus do? He would keep the law.
He would keep the law. Right.
So you should be doing the same thing.
And
One more.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
To take it a little further,
Mhm.
right? We know that Jesus gets crucified and
Mhm.
he dies and he's no more.
Mhm.
But his disciples, his apostles that he taught are still around
Right.
and they're being persecuted. So what was happening when they were being persecuted? Let's go to the book of Acts. We'll go to Acts 12. So as you're in Acts 12, let's read from verses 1 to 5. Now about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church. And he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread.
Mm-hmm.
And the days of unleavened bread is the time of the Passover. So you see that even after Jesus died,
Mm-hmm.
and his apostles were carrying out his message, that the law was still being kept. So again, before, during, and after. Right? So it is solidified that the law is still in effect. Right? So if the law is still in effect, let's move forward now and now talk a little bit about why this time, why Atonement is such an important time to us. You know, the instructions that were given during the month of Atonement. And this being Friday night, the 10th day,
the eve
of the ninth day, the 10th day, right? Because we know as Israelites that our days don't start at midnight.
No.
Right? We don't transition into a new day at midnight. We transition into a new day at evening. So evening today marked the beginning of Atonement.
Right.
All right.
But you know what I like though about just Israel, our culture in general, it's a lifestyle.
Right.
So you talk about before, during, and after. It's a lifestyle. It's how they were living. So even when, you know, you're here and you pass it to your children and your children pass it down, it's a legacy. You know, so that's what Israel is. It's a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not something just create and then it's not existing now.
Right. Yeah, because how do you rid a people of their culture and their tradition? You can't rid a people of their culture and their tradition. Yes, you can take them away from it. You can pull them away from that culture and that tradition. But if they're together, like our forefathers were during that time, like you said, they're going to know that this is their tradition. They don't have to pick up a book and say, oh, well, is it time for us to keep Passover? Is it time for us to keep Atonement? No.
It's their custom.
It's a custom. They're doing it every year. For thousands of years. Right? Been established. And just like the man said, I didn't come to destroy the law or the prophets. And we know he's not talking about men.
Right.
Right? He's talking about the instructions. So they all know it. It's all ingrained in them. Just like as you said, now we have come back to that and we're ingraining that in our future, in our future generations, so that it becomes natural for them. So that we don't think that everyone goes to heaven and you go to heaven with the dog and the puppy and all these sorts of things, right? But that as Israelites, we understand what it means to maintain our culture, maintain our tradition, and the God that we follow is the one that gives us what our culture and our tradition is.
Right.
So with that said, now we're going to go to the book of Leviticus, because of course Leviticus has so many of the instructions as far as what we are to do as Israelites, those instructions that were given to Moses. So I'm going to turn to Leviticus chapter 23, and we're going to start at verse 24.
Okay. So I'll read verse 24, starting at 24. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of the trumpets, an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of this 7th month there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be an holy convocation unto you, and he shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And ye shall do no work that in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever soul it be that does any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people. Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute for forever throughout your generation in all your dwellings. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at evening, from evening unto even, and shall ye celebrate your Sabbath.
Wow, there's so much in there.
Instructions, right?
So much in there, yeah. So the instructions are right there. What month are we talking about? We're talking about the 7th month. And this is what's in the scriptures. This is what is in the instructions that are given to us. You know, you have all sorts of philosophies that are out there, right? And people do all types of things.
Right.
Like we already see in this time of year, there are those that say they celebrate their new year.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine for them. That's fine for them. But if you're going to tell me that you're following the instructions of the scriptures and you're being obedient to your Father and your God says this time of year is what? The 7th month.
7th month.
It's not the 1st month.
Right.
And everyone knows when the 1st month
Right.
occurs. Everyone knows the Passover. Even people that are not Israelites know that the Passover occurs in the 1st month.
Right.
So if you're going to say that you're going to celebrate and you're going to follow the instructions in the way that they were given, then we're already told this is the God of Israel speaking to Moses.
Right.
Yeah.
1st day of the month, you shall have a Sabbath. And even that in itself is so full of meat, right? The 1st day of the month, this is the one month in our year where the 1st day of the month is a Sabbath, that blowing of trumpets, right? And that whole month is preparing us. The blowing of the trumpets, we're calling out, we're calling all Israel. You know, be at the ready.
Right.
Get ready, strengthen yourselves up because you're going into a time of battle. There's going to be a time when you're going to need spiritual strength.
Yeah.
And I go back to what you said about this being a custom, a tradition. Like what we do is our custom, it's our tradition. It's not like we pull out the scrolls and we're just, checking off what we're doing.
Right.
This is a family thing.
Right.
And we always say that as Israelites, we are a spiritual nation. We're a spiritual people.
Yeah.
We walk by spirit and truth. So if we walk by spirit and truth and we're a spiritual nation, then we're going to follow the instructions of that Almighty Spirit.
I like that you say that because so the world in itself, they say that God is a spirit and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. But we know as Israel that the world cannot receive even the spirit of truth, right? We've gone over that multiple times, so we understand that. But reading this and going through it, I'm like saying to myself, wow, it's crazy how everyone can take our book, our history, our legacy right here. They read it, but they choose what they want to take from it.
Right.
And then just put away the others.
Right.
So here's the instruction. It's from the same book. Some read from the first 5 books. Some use that, but some just skip over all those stories and get to the end. But I'm going to tell you about my grandmother, but I didn't know who my mother is and where she's from. That doesn't make sense. So I really like that. That you made such a great point that our God is a spirit, and we as Israel worship him in spirit and in truth, and we have the spirit of truth.
Absolutely.
So you can't get that anywhere else but here.
Yeah. No matter where you try to look.
No matter where you look,
No matter
you're not
where
going to
you
get
look.
it.
Yeah. So.
Could I go, verse 28? And he shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement. Now, if you break that down, atonement at one meant with who?
Mhm.
With the God of Israel.
Right.
You know, so we are at one, not the world, but we are at one meant
Right.
to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God.
Right.
Not any God, but
Mhm.
the Lord God of Israel.
Yes.
We are at one when we fast, when we afflict our souls.
Right.
We become one, you know, with
Yeah,
Him.
yeah.
You know, one, not
Yeah.
not you know, you over here, you over there, but at
Mhm.
one meant. And that if you pray at one meant,
Yeah.
and that's what it come down to.
Yeah.
We are at one with the God that we serve.
It's so amazing, you know, because you think about it, right? Like people will say, oh, you know, if you want to learn about this God, you have to learn a whole new language
Right,
Yeah.
right,
to be able to learn and understand this
right,
God.
right,
The God of Israel knew who we are,
Right.
where we were going to be, because He put us there.
right.
And so He put all these things in place. And the point that you make about taking that word
Right.
and breaking it down
Mhm.
into its at one
One
meant, right? This is the thing that we do.
Right.
But can you imagine having a different language? Like, how could you do something like that
Right.
and still get, even from that word,
Yeah.
the kind of meat that we get? You said, you know, you talked about the fasting and the praying and the
Right.
uplifting of our souls.
Right.
Yeah.
This is what we do as a people. And again, we go back to how this is our culture,
Mhm.
Right.
right?
It's a lifestyle.
It's our lifestyle. These are the things that we do to enhance ourselves and our relationship with our God,
Right.
right? And it's crazy because even when you think about something like fasting, it's almost like fasting has become somewhat of a fad
Right.
because there are these health benefits
Right.
that are
Yeah.
related to
Right.
fasting. Well, forget about the health benefits, man. We're talking about
Spiritual.
spiritual benefits,
Mhm.
right? Spiritual benefits when we keep that atonement. And like you said, that atonement, that at one meant, that atonement
Right.
being that reconciliation
Right.
between us and our God.
Right.
Because why do we need that atonement? You said sin was transgression of the law.
Mm-hmm.
So if we transgress the law and we break the law, then we're pushing ourselves further away from that Holy One.
Right.
So we have to have some kind of a way to reconnect.
Right.
And our Father knew that we weren't going to be a perfect people, so He
Right.
put something in place.
Right.
The 10th day, you went to verse 28, but even verse 27, the 10th day of the month, a holy convocation, afflicting your souls. And even in verse 28, like you said, it's so personal.
Right. Right.
Your God,
Yeah.
between you and your God. You know, it's not for everything and everyone that's out there. Not that this God isn't available for whoever wants to worship Him, but you got to walk through the right
You gotta
doors.
walk. Right.
You
Right.
got to walk through the right doors. So when we think about something like the atonement and what happens during atonement, like what is it that we do during that day of atonement?
You know, I'm gonna say add to that, but you were talking, you said something that is so. I guess if you're not, because I look at both sides. So if you're on the outside and someone is telling you this, then you wouldn't get the understanding. But here we are, we're telling you, so we understand. Everyone understand that God is a spirit because you can't see Him. So God is a spirit. We understand that. They that worship Him must worship in spirit and in truth. What is atonement? What is that connection? So we have the physical, but then the spiritual needs something.
Right.
The spiritual need to be fed.
Right.
The spiritual need that food.
Right.
So if we atone, we afflict our souls and we get that connection to the right God.
Right.
Because just like you're saying, everyone comes with this thing now where I'm going to fast, but I'm fasting to lose weight. Or I'm fasting because I want to give up this.
Yeah.
But here we are, we have the understanding what the instruction is. We have the roadmap.
Right.
This is the map. So we're going to find a treasure, right?
Exactly.
So the map is here,
Yes.
and we're going by details, line for line, walking that road.
I like
So
that.
I
like
really love that, man.
No, I like that. I like the roadmap. We're following the roadmap
Yeah.
so that we get to the treasure,
Get to the
right?
treasure.
And the treasure is having that oneness
Yeah.
with our God once again, because anything that is not of the truth is not of our Father.
Right.
Yeah.
And if we sin and we transgress the law, then we're further away from that
Right,
truth.
right,
But
right.
again, we get that opportunity to
Mhm.
reconnect as long as we know the right spirit.
Right, spirit.
So if you don't even know the name
Right.
Yeah.
of that God, how are you going to be able to, to follow him and
That's
to
true.
worship him?
And we can't do anything by ourselves.
Nope.
We know that.
And this brings me back to when Moses went up to the mountain
Mhm.
and he came back down, and what were they doing?
Having a big old
And then
something.
And then if Moses didn't intervene, this wouldn't mean anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This wouldn't mean nothing at all.
Yeah.
He wanted us so bad, a family, that he repented himself. Who? Did God want to repent to a man
Right.
and a sister?
Mhm.
And Moses was able to talk him down,
Yeah.
said how the other nation have you done brought them out of Egypt, and here you gonna destroy your people?
Yeah.
But the Day of Atonement would mean nothing, because he would not have given us that opportunity to be at one
Right.
with him again, and down to the history there. You have always made it possible for us to be at one with him,
Mhm.
and even though we turn our back on him, that he never really turned he might punish us
Right.
400 years,
Yeah.
but he never really turned his back like we turn our back on him.
Yes. We've always been his.
It always
We've
been
always been the God of Israel's
Right.
treasure.
Yeah.
Right.
Treasure.
We've
Yeah.
always been
his treasure, right?
So that's such a
Security
great point.
treasure, yeah.
And for those of us that were in the darkness at one point in our
Right.
lives and came into the light, that's why we're so thankful to our elder for the
Right.
teachings that
Teaching
he's
us,
given
right,
us. Because we could have easily been out there doing those same things that others are doing that don't really understand the scriptures.
Right.
They want to serve a God, but they
Right.
don't really understand the scriptures. They don't even know the name of God.
Right.
So if you don't even know the name of God, again, how are you then going to follow him in
Mhm.
the right way?
Right.
So we're so thankful to Elder for the teachings that he's
Right.
given unto us, for his humility,
Yeah.
Right.
for steering us in the right direction so that we're not out there, lost in the muck, in the mire, and getting caught up
Mm-hmm.
in all sorts of trends and fads and those
Right.
sorts of things, but that we're keeping our customs
Right.
and our traditions, and that we've gone
yeah.
back to them. And again, this month, Atonement, it's such a full month.
Right.
Again, what did he tell Moses? The first day of the 7th month will be a Sabbath.
Yeah.
It's a holy convocation.
Right.
The 10th day of the 7th month, you afflict your souls. And you talked about us are afflicting our souls. Well, what are we doing when we afflict our souls? We're fasting. So fasting means we're not eating or drinking
Right.
anything, right? We're not eating or drinking anything. So what suffers?
Right.
Our physical, right?
Right, right.
You get hungry, you feel that hunger, but you can't quench that hunger, that physical hunger.
Right.
But as we become weaker physically, we're enhancing our spirit
Right.
Right.
so that we can, get that connection reestablished,
Right.
right, with the God of Israel,
Right.
and really pray that He forgives us.
Right.
So
You're
so
talking,
much, man.
Kurt. It's a lot.
It's
and
so
the
much.
more you talk, it's like I'm seeing the words and it's unfolding, right? So the first day is preparing you for something.
Something. Right.
The first day is preparing you for something, and the deeper you go, then, like I say, it's the roadmap, right?
Yeah.
So you're moving closer and closer and closer. And just as you say, if the physical becomes weaker, but you're enhancing something else. So if we understand that, and I got to go back to that because, the world like to take something out of our book and use. How would you understand Ephesians 6 and 12?
Mm-hmm.
So if we understand that, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and wickedness in high places.
Right. You're not talking about a skyscraper.
We're not talking about skyscraper. How would you
mountaintop.
understand that? How would you know to enhance that spiritual side of you to be connected to the God of Israel?
Yeah.
Man.
It's so true, and your whole point about people taking the Bible and making it a la carte.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'll take a piece of this.
Right. A piece
I'll
of
take a
that.
part of that.
Right.
Oh yeah, we'll take the 10 Commandments, and even that they're not doing.
No.
Right.
But they say we'll take the 10 Commandments, or we'll take Psalms and Proverbs, and we'll read Psalms and Proverbs every day. I'll read a Psalm and I'll be good because I got a personal relationship you know, with the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You know, all these sorts of things, just a la carte that people do. But we know as Israel, this is one whole book, right? This is one whole book. And this isn't even all of our history.
Right.
This isn't even, could you really put the history of a people in one book like this? No, but the God of Israel gave us this roadmap, this instruction, so we know those important things that we need to do to make sure that we stay connected. So I think, you know, your point is so well taken, that here we are as a people, as a nation, as a family. We are a nation within a nation, right? We do follow the laws of the country that we live in. But ultimately, the God of Israel's law is what rules our lives. That's what dictates our custom. That's what dictates our traditions. And these are the things that we want to pass down to our children and to our future generations to reestablish that legacy with them so that they teach their children in the right way as well. So again, there's so much. There's so much right in here.
You stay right here all day.
We could live in this all day, right?
Right.
Literally, you know. Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute for how long?
Forever.
Forever. And I'm in verse 31. Forever, throughout your generations. Where?
In all your dwellings.
Just in Jerusalem.
No.
That's not what it said. Wherever you are. Wherever you are. Throughout all your generations, in all your dwelling. How are we then going to say the law is no more? Or we don't need to do these things anymore? We established it at the beginning. Jesus said, I didn't come to destroy. I didn't come to change. I came to fulfill. I have my part I had to do. But even beyond, when my part is done, you still have instructions that you have to follow, right? And we still have to do our part. So there's so much that's in here. All your dwellings throughout all your generations. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest. The 9th day of the month at even. From even to even. So like we said, our day doesn't start at 12 midnight. Right? Everyone knows what evening is. You know, don't get it twisted. You know, it's not like people don't understand what evening is. When that sun starts going down, that's evening.
Man, how special are we, man? You know, I'm reading you're going and I'm thinking of it. We're such a special people because this instruction was given to a particular set of people. So if you're not chosen, then it doesn't matter how much you read it, you're still not going to gain that understanding. You know, and we're telling you that, you know, this is what it is. You know, the deception and the lies that you've been in all your life, that is not it. You know, so I just feel really special, and you're talking, Elder Kurt, and I'm getting goosebumps and chills just thinking about how special I am that the God of Israel choose me, remove the veil from my eyes to have the understanding and to see myself in the scriptures. And even the level of understanding to know that this is an instruction that was given unto my forefathers. It's here for me. I'm reading it, I'm seeing it, and walking in that path. Man.
And to think that this helps to establish, that's such a great point, man, that this helps to establish that connection between you and the forefathers. Between you and Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the 12, and all the family of Israel that have done this over all the years, that this gets us back in connection with these people. You know, we, like I was saying before, we went through Freedom Month. We went through Remember the 400, and we see all the things, all the affliction that is occurring on our people in this day and age, and everyone's looking for the answers, and they're like, what's next? And here we are trying to tell people plainly and simply, these are the words that are written in the book.
Try this.
That's all you have to do.
Try it like this.
Exactly.
Don't try it like what they're telling you. Try it like this.
It's like, you know, our leader says now, like, what do you got to lose? You did the other thing for thousands of years, it hasn't worked. You tried it for the last 250 years, 400 years, even beyond that. And it hasn't worked. And this is the prescription right here. This
That's
is the
right. That's
solution.
right. You know, Elder Shadrach, he always says something that I like. He says, prove me wrong.
Right.
And if you can prove me wrong, then we can. But you
Yeah.
can't prove nothing
Exactly.
wrong because it is here, man.
Mm-hmm.
So just like you're saying, you've been doing this for umpteen years. You're looking for the answer. Try something different.
Right.
Because obviously what you're doing is not working.
It's not
out.
working.
You know, so here we are, the instruction that our forefathers was doing, that was handed down to us, Day of Atonement, where you get that spiritual food, man.
Exactly. Exactly. And again,
Wow.
to have that blessing,
Yeah.
because it really is a blessing to even be able
To have eyes. And
to have eyes to see and to be able to keep the atonement.
Yeah.
Right.
To be able to recognize that
Yeah.
the atonement is
True.
important, that it has to be kept. Like
Right.
even that is a blessing in itself. And like even as you were saying, like the atonement is to bring us back, right?
Right.
Because of sins that we've committed,
Right.
we're
Mhm.
praying for forgiveness. But it's a blessing that we can pray for
Right.
forgiveness.
Right.
You know, it's a blessing that we have the opportunity to reconnect with our
Yeah.
God. And there's a prescribed time every year that this is done. A prescribed time every year, like he said, throughout all your generations.
Right.
Yeah.
Wherever y'all go live, wherever you go live,
Keep these days.
you will keep the Day of Atonement
Right.
in the 7th month,
Right.
not in the new year,
Right.
in the 7th
In the
month
7th
of
month.
the year. And we're not talking about the 7th month of the year being, what is it, July on this calendar?
Right.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the Israelite
Yeah.
history and the Israelite 7th
Right.
month, which is what we are in
Right.
at this point, even that month, Atonement.
Right. And thinking about all of this, what we're saying, I'd go back 57 when my eyes were open. I was 57 years old when my eyes were open.
You're a young
Can you
buck
imagine?
then. You're a young
Can
man.
you imagine? And I came into Israel when I was 58. That's when my life started.
Mm.
All of those years were wasted to me.
Yeah.
Because I did not know my true identity. I did not know the true identity of the God that I should be serving instead of, God,
Yeah.
So I am, when I think about these days and I'm there by myself meditating upon the scriptures or whatever, and I just think, here a guy from Mississippi used to have to go behind his grandfather planting seeds while he'd have to do all of this here. And yet he, for whatever reason, he handpicked me to be a part of his family.
Yeah.
I still can't wrap my mind around that because why me?
Yeah.
But then I asked, well, why not me?
Absolutely.
Because
Amen.
God of his love.
Amen. Why not you? Yes.
Because, he know who he wants.
Yeah.
He handpicked who he wants, just like when Jesus walked the earth. He didn't, like I said before, I guess the last time we talked, he did not go around and, I'm holding a job fair, for disciples, he knew.
Job fair.
But what I'm saying, the God of Israel had placed in his, the people,
Yeah.
the 12 he wanted.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to go around and,
Yeah.
I know,
It's
man,
such a
it's a
great
special
point.
feeling.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah. It
special
is.
feeling.
it's just overwhelmed, sometimes I have to just, my emotion get.
You just have to just sit back and try to soak it in,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Because it's a lot.
Yeah.
But think about it from this standpoint too. Think about how many people in the world, how many children of Jacob were never afforded that opportunity. Like you said, your first 57 years were wasted.
Yeah.
Right,
But all those things that you did led you to the God of Israel.
right. And
There were people that never got the opportunity.
my parents,
Mhm.
my grandparents, my brother, my sister,
Mhm.
they no longer here,
Right.
and they never had the opportunity, So this I'm saying, just my emotion, man. I'm sorry,
No, it's
get the best of me because knowing that, I'm here. I have a seat in this Israelite house. Not everyone gonna have a seat in this Israelite house,
Exactly. Yep.
and
Exactly.
we've been blessed,
Mhm.
So.
Of course, you can't help but to be overwhelmed sometimes when you think about it. Again, especially because we were out there
Right.
in the darkness and in the
Right.
confusion, right? And as you're saying, when we look at ourselves, like we might not see anything special in us. Like, why did the God of Israel choose to open my eyes? Why did he choose to open your eyes? Why did he choose to open the people's eyes that are in this nation?
Right.
What makes us different from those people that are out there?
Right.
We saw it. There are a lot of people that seek.
Yeah.
But there aren't a lot of people that want to really follow. Right? And so now we have to take all that you're feeling
Yeah.
Right.
and try to teach others that are out there seeking.
Right.
And we do this in so many different ways that we try to get this message out in so many different ways to get people, especially our people, the children of Jacob,
To understand.
Listen, get away from all that deception, like you said. The deception is real, and it's so enticing.
Right.
Right? The serpent was beguiling from the beginning to our time. The serpent was beguiling. Right? There's nothing that's changed about that. All those things out there are so tempting because they're the lie.
Yeah.
The lie looks really, really tasty.
Right.
You said something one time. The road to destruction is paved with what?
What did I say? I say so many things. What did I say that time?
The road to destruction is paved with bad intention.
Okay. I don't think that one is mine. That one's not mine. I can't keep that one.
But Elder Tony, like you're saying, we understand emotion, man. It's a special feeling. We understand who we are as a people and a nation. And Elder Shadrach, an obedient servant, right? Taught us well through the scriptures. So, going back, because I'm listening everything that you're saying and I'm thinking about it, how would we as a people understand really Exodus 13 and 14? Stand now and see the salvation of your God. How would you understand that?
Yeah.
How would we really understand if you're not connected? It wasn't handed down to us. You can't understand it.
Right. Because then for you, it's just a story.
Yeah. You
It's
can't
just a
understand
story.
it.
There's no real
There's
connection.
no connection. No connection whatsoever.
Absolutely.
Like we say it all the time, be so thankful to Elder Shadrach for being determined, dedicated, knowing that we've been black people. Many times, people of slavery, we many times don't want to, we think we know it all. We don't want to humble ourselves, and here he had to go around and the first person, Elder Castro, if he would have said, well, you teach me about your God. Teach me, and I would follow. And he had been more faithful than some have come through these doors and they're longer here, So this is, it's just special to know you have eyes to see, ears to hear, and he have placed you in this household. Yeah. And so I
like that.
So
placed you in this household.
Yeah.
Place you in the household of the family. It's a family, right? Israel is a family. We are not a corporation or, a religion or a philosophy. We are a family. We are a family of people, and this is our history.
Right.
And all we do is do our best to keep our cultures and our traditions. All those things that make us the people that we are, and this atonement being so pivotal in helping us to understand who we are and to maintaining, reestablishing, and really keeping that connection with the God of Israel. I mean, this is a big deal. It's a big time. You talk about emotion and the emotions that we feel, but atonement is sort of the same thing, right? Because again, when you think about, you afflict your soul, you afflict your body, you keep something away from your system that you want physically, because you want to make your spiritual self stronger, and then that spiritual self is really where that connection, because this is fleeting, right? One day, someday this is going to be gone. That physical is going to be gone. The scripture says we get, what, 70.
Right.
You know, you get more than 70, you're doing, yay.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
I'm doing great, you know.
You know,
I sent a resume for another 30 years, but I don't know.
you sent a resume for another score.
An email,
Hey, man, you know,
but I haven't heard anything, so I don't know whether or not you're going
it's
to give
probably
another.
coming, man. You're
I
going
don't know whether
strong.
you're going to give another 30 years. You know,
You're going strong.
My
You're going
grandfather.
strong.
But that's such a
Yeah.
good point, though, Elakar. Like I say, you know, for me personally, man, I love that it's a lifestyle, it's a culture.
Culture, right?
Yeah.
Compared to everything else, when you analyze it, it's not a corporation like you're
Right,
saying.
right.
Something just doesn't exist now, then it's going to change, then it's
Right,
going to go here.
Right.
No, it's everything from Genesis to Revelation.
Mhm.
It's about a particular set of people who got an instruction.
Yeah.
Right,
That's it.
right.
So I really love that. Really, really, and
100%,
truly love that.
100%.
Man.
If you like what you're hearing, smash the like button, smash the internet.
Yeah.
Like what you're hearing. Like I said, hit that like button, comment, share it, send it to your family, send it to your friends. We're here every Friday night. We're here on Saturdays as well. We love talking about these things.
Yeah.
We love sharing our God with those that are interested. We know that this is the time of the pandemic, and we're not able to congregate. We're not able to get together in the way that we normally do. But thank the God of Israel that we have this platform,
Amen.
that we're able to have these conversations, that we're able to have these discussions, that we're able to teach about who we are and what our God requires of us. So again, here we are in this, in this 7th month, man, this month, Atonement.
And I like that too, Elakar, what you just said, right? So in our time, they say, what is your greatest success? Your greatest success when you can impact somebody's life in a positive way.
Right.
So here we are, we're trying to save you. We're saying, hey man, change from what you're doing. This is it.
Right.
Just give us a time, give us your time and ask whatever question you want to ask and we will help you.
Yeah.
So that is our task, what we're doing. Plus, nobody else is designed to teach
Right.
from this book except us.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that you said that.
Yeah. Royal priesthood.
Yeah.
We talked about being the royal priesthood, and if we're the royal priesthood, if the Israelite is the royal priesthood, then this is our job.
Yeah.
Right.
To teach
Right.
about our God.
Right.
But we're not going to teach those that want to stay in the muck, in the mire,
right.
and wallow in the mud. We're going to teach those that really want to learn about our God. That's why we don't argue.
No.
Right.
We don't criticize.
Right.
But again, we don't compromise.
Right.
God. Yeah, you do.
Do
What is it? You
do you. Do you.
You do you.
And
But if you're a child of Jacob, there's a way that you're supposed to conduct yourself.
but you do you, but not without this. This
Right.
belongs to us.
Yeah.
So don't come here, trying to teach me. I'll teach others,
Right.
and you have no idea. That's just like me coming to your house, and I'm going to tell you, about your household,
Absolutely.
about this, about that, and I don't have no clue what
Yeah.
where the your dress or whatever in a sense.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
How can you come here and going to try to tell us or try to teach us
Yeah.
about this? This is our lifeline.
Mm-hmm.
This is our lifeline.
Yeah.
And how can you want to come and tell me about my life
Mm-hmm.
when I'm over 50 some years? You can't tell me too much what I have not heard, and everything I have heard, again, is a lie until I came unto the truth. There's no greater book than Elder, the truth and the lie. And when I saw that, and I haven't looked back since, and I pray to God of Israel, because at any given time we can turn back. Or something happened. I may be a billionaire, or may be this, may that, and may walk away. But I don't think, I just pray to the God of Israel that I would stay connected and stay within this household, because like I said, where can you go when you have been given the best of best?
Yeah.
There's nothing
You're
better
sitting at
than
the
there's
king's
nothing
table,
best
right?
than this.
Yeah.
What?
I say you're sitting at the king's table.
Yeah, no,
Why would you want
Where
to
else
go
you
back
wanna
and
go?
be
Yeah.
the present?
You want to go
Right.
back in the,
Right.
the
Yeah, it's
pigsty?
dungeon, no.
And that point about this being our lifeline.
Lifeline, right.
This is our lifeline.
Right.
Because again, the body will deteriorate, it will turn to dust, it'll go back to the dirt from which it came. But your spirit is going to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and you want to make sure that your spirit is on the right side.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to, you know, because of what you do in this life,
Right.
not be on the proper side
Yeah.
in the next life.
True.
And this is all prep, like, you know, your 57 years prepared you for being here
Right.
in Israel.
Right.
So all that we're doing in this life is preparing us for another chapter
Yeah.
in our existence. You know, people think life, they just think physical, but life is so far beyond that.
Man,
You know?
it just like, again, man, I gotta go back to it and say, because so you're into fitness and you're trying to make the physical body, you know, sustain itself, right? Maintain your youth, they say. So if you're doing that to the physical body, how are you going to train the spiritual side in you? Right?
Yes.
So the physical is good, but then the spiritual is weak,
It's a
lame.
hot mess.
Yeah. So, you know, again, you know, our instruction is here. The roadmap to success is here. You know, that God of Israel set us up to say, you know what? This is how you're going to train your spiritual side.
Absolutely.
So I really love that, man. The atonement is very, very important. It's something I look forward to every single year.
Right.
Imagine
Instructions,
that. You imagine you're looking forward to,
Yeah.
you know,
Being hungry.
you know, hungry and
Right, you know,
No, because you're training.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you understand that,
No
you
pain,
know,
no gain,
no pain,
right?
no gain,
Right.
right?
Oh,
So
yes,
you gotta
man.
train,
For
man.
real.
I look forward to it, man.
Going all day.
Absolutely.
Without,
No
going
pain,
all
no
day
gain.
without food, without water.
Yeah.
You know, because this, like, this is life, man.
Yeah.
You know, this is our life. You know, knowing that here the God of Israel had this plan for us, that I know Elder Tony's gonna make a mistake, he's gonna do this, do that. So I'm gonna put this Day of Atonement so he can, so I can give him the opportunity
Right.
to come back to me, to afflict, and I wanna see whether he's gonna afflict his soul, whether he's gonna work on that day, or tell me, man, I'm okay, I'll fast for a couple hours and I gotta go eat.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. And I think that's such a great point because, you know, you said the God of Israel knows that we're not perfect.
Right.
So he gives us the Day of Atonement. Now, people might be hearing this and saying to themselves, so you mean y'all only one time a year, y'all sit and ask your God for forgiveness?
Right.
Well, no.
No.
Because if we sin, whenever we sin, if we feel like we've done something wrong, no matter what time of year it is, we'll pray and we'll ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
We'll do those things that we need to do. This just happens to be that prescribed time when, as a people,
as a nation,
as one, I think
Yeah.
you mentioned that before, as one, we are all doing the same thing as
at the
one.
same time.
When the God of Israel sees Israel, he sees Israel as his
One.
son.
Just
So if we're all praying as one,
doing the same thing
unity
at the
strength.
same
at
time.
the same time. You know, because I said, if I do something I know I have sinned, you may not know about it.
Exactly.
You know, but this day, everybody, if you're a family member, you would know.
Yeah.
You would know that this day is special. This
It's
day is
special,
God
right.
of Israel. Not that, like, you know, when the new moon come, the Sabbath come, the gates
The gates are open.
are open. But basically, the gates is open, so he hear all of us.
Yeah.
You know, he may hear me, and he said, okay, may hear you. But then this day, he hear all of us.
Wow.
You know, all of us he hear. You know.
It's just
It's
crazy
just
to
so-
think about that, right? So you think about, you know, the God of Israel is in his realm.
Right.
And Day of Atonement comes around and he calls
Paint
his
the picture.
he calls his
His
host,
family.
you know, all right guys, come on.
Right.
Let's sit down because, you know, my children are gonna come before me this day
Right.
with their supplications.
Right.
And all day the God of Israel and his host, they are just there listening to what we're saying.
Right.
All day long. They're there because he put it's in his calendar.
Right.
God of Israel said this time of year.
But it's not the new year. You know, I'm just saying.
Right? It's New Year for somebody. It's not New Year for us.
For us,
You know, it's not New Year for us, right?
Yeah.
But
I
can you imagine that? We can't even fathom that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And
You
can you
know?
imagine? I'm thinking about, you know, he have emotion too. I
Mhm.
would say, when he see all of us from the UK, Canada, here in the US, we all come together.
Yeah.
We got to have a tear coming down.
Right?
All of these thousands of years, and here I finally got a people who listen. I
My
got a
children
people
are coming back.
come back.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man. My
It is
children
amazing,
are coming
man. It
back
is
to me,
amazing.
you know.
Right.
And the God of Israel, you talk about your emotion.
Yeah.
Right, I'm
You
getting
know,
ready to go now.
he's the king, he's the creator of
Right,
emotion. You know, and you have the God of Israel that is there.
Yeah.
And it's not only that, it's, can you imagine the type of spiritual power that we gain as a people?
Yeah.
Right.
If we do that sort of thing. So it's like, again, people are looking for all these solutions to why is this happening? Why is everybody down on the black man, this and that and the other? Well, it's because we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, and this is part of what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
We talk about fasting and prayer. And you think about how important prayer is to us as a people. Because prayer is the way that we communicate with our God, right? And that's not to say, again, I go back to this whole thing about, you know, people talk about when they pray, they pray in tongues.
Yeah.
And they speak in tongues and they say all kind of, you know, some all kind of crazy stuff. But yet there's a simplicity, right?
Yeah.
There's a simplicity to what the God of Israel is asking of. It's true, man. You know, right? You were out there before, man. These folks talk about all this stuff about we're praying in tongues and this and that and the other. No.
Yeah.
No. You don't need all of that.
Right.
It's very simple. The God of Israel said, this is what you have to do. You come before me, you fast, you pray. And again, that prayer being that, you know, establishing of the connection. So if we have that time, and it's just so amazing to me when I really think about it, because again, we are his son. He sees us as one people.
Right.
So if we are going before him with one voice as one people, because we all do it at the same time. If we're going before him with one voice as one people, can you imagine the kind of power that we're getting from him?
Because if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and seek my face, and I will hear them and heal their land.
Yeah.
So anywhere we are as Israel, and we're calling on the God of Israel, man, just like you're saying, how powerful that we.
I know. Right.
You imagine?
Man. I get it, Elder Tony. The emotions, man. I get it.
It's
the
amazing.
emotion.
It's incredible.
You know?
And going back to what you're saying, yes, we come to the God of Israel ourselves, and I sin or you sin or whatever. But then this is a family affair at that the Day of Atonement. It's a family affair where he, like you said, he called us the host.
Yeah.
And everybody there, and the gates is, and it's open.
They're ready, man. They're ready.
You know.
They're ready.
You know.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And
along those lines, let's go to the book of Daniel for a second. I want to go to Daniel chapter 9. Because this is right along what we're talking about at this point in terms of us being that people, coming together as one people, and being listened to. And again, it's not that we only pray to the God of Israel, or we only pray for forgiveness for our transgressions this one time of the year.
Right.
That's not the point that we're making.
Right.
The point is, this is a specific time that was given to Israel to come together as a people and as a nation. That we're all doing the same thing at the same time. Because on a regular basis, during the course of a day or a course of a week, you may be praying at one particular time, or you may not pray every day.
Right.
I may be praying at a specific time, you will be praying at a specific time, and the God of Israel hears us. As you said, the new moons and the Sabbaths, the gates, you know, that's a whole other conversation there, the gates being open, you know, and our prayers, our supplications being heard. I mean, even during this time that we just read in the book of Leviticus, there was atonement that was done. There were atonements that were done. Atonement is basically, you know, that asking for forgiveness of whatever transgression it is that you committed. So there were atonements that the priests were supposed to do for the people anyways.
Right.
But that was a special time.
Yeah.
So it's not just that we take that one day and that's, we're just like running amok all year and then one day no. But that is that one time that has been prescribed for us as a people to come together and to turn to our Father on that day, afflict ourselves physically as a people, and enhance our spiritual selves as a people, as one.
Yeah.
So we are in Daniel chapter 9.
And that's a good example too, Elder Kurt. Sorry to cut you, but if you go like some people, whatever they are, celebrating New Year now, right? So that's their time when they're celebrating New Year, but I'm sure they still go out in the course of the week. But that particular day or time, as a group, that's when they celebrate.
Yes.
So we're in the world, but not of the world. So the world celebrates January 1st as New Year Day. So I'm sure they go out and celebrate other time, a friend birthday or whatever, or get together as friends. But that particular time, the world celebrate their New Year.
Yeah.
So here we are, just as you're saying. It's not that we're saying this is only time you pray, but this set time is our instruction that the God of Israel laid out for us, because we want to get to the treasure, right? So this is the roadmap.
Yes.
So I like
Absolutely.
that.
Yep. Absolutely. That's a good point, man, because you see that time of year and it doesn't matter where in the world people are, right? They showed, they have the caption, the footage from Singapore, they have it from China, they have it from Russia, and all these places at the same time, all these different cultures, all these different spiritualities.
Yeah.
But at that time, they all, the fireworks, this, that, and the other. And then somehow during the course of the year, you hear about different New Years. You got the Chinese New Year, you got Rosh Hashanah, you have all these different times. Like my brother from the UK said, good for them.
Yeah.
Right? Good for them. But for us, this is our book of instruction. So this is what we dictate when our New Year is, when these prescribed times are, because again, it's our culture and tradition.
Right.
So in keeping with that, you want to read Daniel 9?
Okay.
We'll start at verse 1.
Verse 1.
10,
we're in Daniel 9, verse 1. In the first year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of Medes, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans, in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years, whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in desolation of Jerusalem. And I set my face unto the Lord God, to seek by prayer and supplications, with fasting and with sackcloth and ashes. And I prayed unto the Lord my God, and made my confession, and said, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him, and to see them that keep his commandments. We have sinned, and have committed iniquity, and have done wickedly, and have rebelled, even by departing from thy precepts, and from thy judgment.
So hold for a second there. So here is Daniel, right? We know how great Daniel was. Even as a youth, how great and how committed Daniel was to the God of Israel, even in Israel's or Judah's captivity at that time, and the 70 years of the captivity that was going to be accomplished, that was told by Jeremiah the prophet. And here's Daniel bowing down and praying to the God of Israel and doing what? Fasting and praying and asking for forgiveness, and not for himself. Not for himself. Listen to what he says. We have sinned, we have committed iniquity, and have done wickedly, and have rebelled, even by departing from. So what precepts and what judgments is Daniel talking about? He's talking about the instructions that his people weren't following. Daniel, being a committed servant, didn't say, oh, God of Israel, I'm great, I follow you, I do everything you say, No, he prayed for his people. He prayed for all of Israel. And it's just to show how important that aspect of fasting and praying is in terms of who we are and what we do as Israelites, and helping us to get that connection, established with the God of Israel. That fasting and that prayer, like the fasting doesn't come without the prayer.
Right.
It's not like on that Day of Atonement, all we do is just not eat.
Right.
Or we just fast.
Right.
That in itself is so much more. There's a whole lot of prayer that's involved in that day, man.
Yeah, and just as instructions say, do no servile work therein. You set yourself, you separate yourself from the normal stuff.
Yes.
This day is a day where you're gonna commit yourself in talking to your God, asking for forgiveness.
Absolutely. So where were you?
At 7 now.
7?
6 now, right. Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants, the prophets, which spake in thy name, to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces. And at this day, to the men of Judah, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel, that are near and that are far off, through all the countries, whither thou hast driven them, because of their trespass, that they have trespassed against thee. O Lord, to us belongeth confusion of face, and to our kings, and to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee. To the Lord our God belongeth mercies and forgiveness, though we have rebelled against him. Neither have we obeyed the voice of the Lord our God, to walk in his laws, which he set before us by his servants, the prophet.
Wow.
I got even so excited just now. Because, barely go. Neither have we obeyed the voice of the Lord our God, to walk in his laws, which he set before us by his servants, the prophets. So instructions, the laws that was handed down from the beginning.
Right.
So how can you then say there's no law and there's certain things that you're going to do away with or not partake in anymore? Confusion.
How are you going to take this a la carte? He didn't say, we didn't follow the 10 Commandments. And even before that, I just love how he encompasses it all, right? In verse 7. Not only men of Judah, inhabitants of Jerusalem, all Israel. Unto all Israel. So don't go telling the God of Israel, well, I didn't know I was a child of Jacob.
Right.
Or I didn't know I was, the descendant of Israel. That's not going to work. That are near and that are far off, through where? All the countries whither thou hast driven them. So like we read in the instructions, it said what? Throughout all your generations, where? In all your dwellings. We keep the atonement, we keep the instruction.
Right.
And here is Daniel in captivity.
Right.
He's in captivity. He's not, in his land. He is in captivity with his people. And he's praying to the God of Israel, talking about not following the instructions that were given. Jesus said what? I didn't come to destroy the law or the prophets. Why do they keep talking about the prophets?
Right.
Why does what Jesus is saying sound just like what Daniel is saying?
And that's way after,
long after Daniel, and he's still saying, I didn't come to destroy the law or the prophets. So what is Jesus talking about that's any different than what Daniel is praying about? We were disobedient as a people.
Right.
And because we were disobedient as a people, we went into captivity. So again, people try to find, so what do we have to do as a people to get out of the situation that we're in? It's right there, man. The blueprint is there, the map, whatever you want to call it, it's right there. The roadmap is right there. We don't need it. This is our GPS. Here's the GPS. Here's the connection.
Right.
You
They
know?
just need to stop doing what they're doing. Try something different.
Yeah.
You know, I can't stress on that enough. Try something different
What
because
do you have to lose?
you have nothing to lose, man.
Mhm.
You've
What
been
do
at the
you have to
bottom,
lose?
so try not to be at the bottom.
Exactly.
Try something different. Here we are telling you,
Right.
follow the instruction. It is so, man. Elder Tony, you talk about your years when you learn of this truth, right? And you're saying, I know why you're saying it because you're like, man, can you imagine if I knew what I know now back then?
Right.
How far ahead we would be as a people, as a nation.
Absolutely.
You know, without even questioning it, I know we wouldn't be protesting as much as we're doing right now.
Right.
Because my people are called by my name, humble themselves, hear me, so I'm going to heal them, I'm going to deliver them. He did it for us when we cried out in Egypt.
Right.
So true.
Moses, hey, go, deliver my people, free them, I hear them.
And he's ready to do it right now.
Yeah, we wouldn't need that. We would need what would we need protesters for?
now.
We
No,
would
right,
want
right,
people
right.
separated.
Yeah.
And I love that point you just made about, you know, when we afflict our soul, no servile work. So we're separating ourselves from all the distractions that are out there.
Yeah.
You know, if you like what you're hearing, again, what did they say? Smash your head into the keyboard, smash the like button, comment, share, and definitely follow us on our YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. We are more than happy to have this conversation about our God, who our God is. And going back to, you know, to this month, Atonement, and we think about here we are in the 7th month, right? Even when you look at what's occurring in nature right now, we were just talking about this earlier, the days are getting shorter.
Right.
So the nights are getting longer. So that means that darkness is getting longer. So we're going into a time when it starts becoming colder, right? When the darkness is lasting longer. And so it's so appropriate that this month comes when it does, because you think about the month Atonement and all these Sabbaths that are Atonement, because we're not like the world. We don't see every Saturday as being Sabbath because we know that's not what the scripture says.
Right.
We know too much to do that.
Yeah.
But with that said, there are so many Sabbaths that are in the month Atonement. We have our feast days as well. So we get to strengthen our spirit right before that time of darkness comes around, so that we are able to fight those powers and those principalities that may come at us during that time. And it's crazy how, it's not crazy because this is the way the God of Israel set it up, how the physical imitates the spiritual. You know?
I like that you
Why you
said
laughing,
that.
sir?
No, I like that you said that because I was gonna let you add to it as well. The physical body, what it goes through or how it feels in terms of when it's darker or colder. You know, you're not as energized as before.
Absolutely.
You're luggy, you come. I work with a lot of guys. They come, everybody's drinking coffee 24 hours of the day. And it's always in that particular time. So, you know, for those that, you know, don't have the understanding, you know, just think about it. How do you feel when it's colder? How do you feel in the summer? Everybody's more active, you're more lively, but when it's darker, something happens to the body. So the God of Israel gave us the instruction, hey, my people, my son, whom I've called out of Egypt, right? You're going to go through this time. So I'm going to set you up for success. So you can prolong whatever is to come.
I like that. Set you up for success. It's so true, right? And it's such a great point because you think about who we are as Israelites. We are children of the light, literally. Like the sun shines on us and kisses us, right? Because of all the melanin that's in our skin. We are people of light. We love the light. So if we're in a time in nature when it's darker for longer, that does, you know, it can weigh on you. It can weigh on you. And if you don't have a way that you strengthen yourself before that time comes around, then those are the types of things that can, you know, destroy your spirit, so to speak, you know, or maybe not destroy, but cause severe damage to you on a spiritual standpoint. So here again is our Father and his wisdom, knowing those things, that he put this time together for us, that we have this month Atonement, that we have the atonement, that we afflict our souls. And then what happens after Atonement? A few days later, there's a huge there's a huge feasting that we do, where we fill ourselves physically, but more importantly, because of those feast days and those Sabbaths that we get, we fill ourselves spiritually. So everything just fits in so nicely and so neatly when you think about the God of Israel and how he set this whole scenario up.
Yeah, the design of
It's
everything.
immaculate. It's immaculate.
The design of everything.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to add one more thing to that, Elder Kurt.
Add more, man. More than one.
So here we are, the God of Israel saying, okay, this is the Day of Atonement when you're going to afflict your souls. And we all know why we're going to do it, because we want to strengthen the spiritual side of us. Because the spiritual side actually works with the physical side, right? But we talk about the time of darkness that we're going to go in after. So your body actually slows down. So even in the fitness world, that's when most people that compete in fitness at the highest level, they're stuck on size. Because your body slows down.
Right.
But then after you come out at the time of darkness and it becomes more light, Israelites, as you said, I like that, they become more energized, more ripped, more chiseled. And that's why those times, even in the world, that's when they keep those competitions mostly. So something happens to the body. So we with the naked eyes, we don't understand it, but the God of Israel, man, the chemist behind everything, the way he sets it up, man.
And you know, it's funny because it's like nature is trying to tell us that, right? What, like you said, you think about the animals. When do animals hibernate? This is the time that they hibernate, in the winter time. You know,
stacking up their grass.
And they go into that mode in hibernation. When animals are hibernating, their whole metabolism slows down. You know, their body slows down to a level where they don't have to eat so much because they have to rest. They're sleeping, but they stored up enough energy physically to get them through that time. And here we are storing up the spiritual energy to get us through that time. I love it, man. You just have to sit back sometimes and just marvel at the God of Israel and this design and the way that he's designed this world. And we can see why things are so out of whack. We can see why things are so out of whack. It's because we're not doing our part in this design. And I don't mean us Israel, I mean children of Jacob are not doing their part. And then you wonder why we're going through the things that we're going through. It's right in front of us. It's right in front of us.
They don't see it.
But can't see it.
Can't see it.
Because the eyes are closed. They still going through all those years, right? And might not even be searching.
And then you try to tell them, and they don't hear because you know
the choice they make.
The choice that they make.
The choice they make.
But like Elder Michael was saying, you know, we're going to defend this Bible here. Stay, you know, if you don't understand it, stay out of it. You know, let us be the teacher. And you want to know about this, come to us. But don't come and
come
try
see
to
us.
Come see us.
Come see us.
We will defend this Bible here, you know. And I like that when he said that. You know.
And if you want it, you do what you want to. But as you said earlier too, use your own book.
Go out and have your own.
Come up with your own thing. Don't take this and then rip out, you know, a few pages from, you know, this part of it, and then go all the way back here and tear out a couple of other pages, and then claim
translation.
And then, you know, claim that you know the whole thing. You know, don't do that. If you want to do your own thing, then use your own information. Don't take our information and try to, you know, finagle it to fit your life. You know, if you're going to follow this, you have to follow it from start to finish, from beginning to end. You can't take it in pieces and expect that you understand and expect to gain benefit from it.
And ask an Israelite to actually explain to you, because that's the only way you're going to get the teaching. You know, you can't teach yourself. A student don't teach himself or herself. They have to be taught by a teacher. So, you know, like we talk about royal priesthood, and that's who we are. So again, going back to what we're talking about, Day of Atonement, it's a special time for me. I look forward to it each year.
Right.
Just in general, that the God of Israel, like you're saying, Elder Tony, choose us to be a part of this family and this nation.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to help people on the outside.
Right.
That is the legacy that we want to do for you guys. Help me help you.
Right.
I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say. Help me, help me.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's so true. And again, if we go back to the instruction in Leviticus, and it says that that soul will be cut off.
Yeah.
And sometimes people may read that, and again, we look with our physical eyes and we say, well, nothing happened to me.
Right.
Right? I ain't keep no atonement. Nothing happened to me. So what does it mean cut off? There's another realm after this.
Right.
There's another life after this. That's the treasure that we're trying to follow this roadmap to.
Yeah.
Is to get to that treasure of everlasting life, right?
Yeah.
And being with the family. So if you're gonna get cut off, you might say to yourself, yeah, well, I don't keep any atonement and nothing's happening to me. I'm good.
Right.
You might be good now.
Right.
The rich man was good.
Yeah.
The rich man was good for a long time.
And that's how
But what happened when he went to the other realm?
And that's how they look at everything in the physical.
Mm-hmm.
Since we're like, hell, you struggling, and hell, I'm living $1 million home. So that's why they just don't get it there in the
Right.
system. But I don't know. It just
And then the biggest culprit of it all, right? The biggest industry, the biggest culprit that tells you that your riches is in the afterlife.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not even giving you the right instruction.
Right.
Don't even know the right instruction
Instructions, right.
in telling you
Right.
about that treasure in the afterlife.
But their treasures are right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
It's, man. And then physically you're seeing it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're still staying there.
Yeah.
You're still wallowing in it.
right.
Again, man, the choice.
And
so-
that's such a great point, because imagine the kind of lies you have to tell yourself to see these things happening and to say to yourself, basically, okay, that guy is good enough to have all these things because he's standing at the pulpit or the podium, in that shrine.
Right.
But I'm not good enough to have it.
Right.
Like, what is it? What is the mentality that people have to go through to do that sort of thing? Here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, we don't get paid for this.
Right.
None of us are paid for this.
Right.
None of us take tithes to, do our own personal things. Everything that we do in this nation, we do it out of the love for who we are and the love of our God. So again, hit that like button, comment, share, donate. If you feel so inclined to donate, like I said, none of us here gets paid for this, but we certainly have expenses. We have to run these videos. We've got to keep the lights on, all these things. And we don't take any personal compensation for this at all. We don't even ask for any personal compensation for this because we love what we do. We love what we do as Israelites. We love the fact that we now know who we are, that we know how to serve our God, that we know the things that are prescribed for us to do, and that we follow the instructions. That's so important to the God of Israel.
Following the instructions.
It's follow the instructions. You imagine as a father, you tell your children, okay, every Saturday at 4:00, we have a family meeting. And then as a dad and a mom, you get together on the kitchen table and you're waiting for your children to show up at the family meeting. You may have a bag full of money that you want to now give your children, right? And you're waiting for your children to come and they don't show up. How would you feel as a father if your children aren't showing up when you gave them, you brought them up in this from the time they were born? Every Saturday at 3:00, you had a family meeting. And then they grow up and they go to their own households, they go to their own homes, and they don't come, or they get old enough where they're out and they're playing with friends and that sort of thing. Saturday, 3:00 comes around and they're not there. You're not going to be happy as a parent. So why would we think the God of Israel would not be wroth, would not be angry with Israel if we're not keeping the instructions that he has given unto us.
Well, it's pretty clear because we have been in punishment for 400 years,
Absolutely.
and that's why there's a lot of protests going on. So, what is the reason behind that? Because of the disobedience.
Yes.
Obedience is better than sacrifice, right? So, just like you're saying, if the instruction is set, we have to follow the precept and the understanding that the God of Israel has bestowed upon us.
Absolutely.
And
To
all
the
of that,
T.
and all of that they're going to, I said it before, a 3-letter word. S-I-N.
Yeah.
The first commandment, and I think Elder Michael, Elder Andrew was saying, because if the other 9, it's there, but if you don't keep you don't know the God you're serving, that number 1, the first commandment is the most important commandment. So if you sin, then sin come by. That's why we're going through what we're going through, the 400 years.
Yeah.
And yet all of this protest, and yet they talk about voting. We all vote, but we've been voting
for years.
Right?
Yeah.
We've been demonstrating.
Been demonstrating for years.
So what is the?
It ain't working.
It's not working for
It
400
ain't
years.
working. Why we keep doing it?
Wake up and
Insanity.
so what you doing?
That's
So
such a
there got to
great
be
point,
something
though,
greater
Tony.
than that. Got to be something
Yeah.
that you are not saying, you're not doing.
See, that's what in 57 years, see all that wisdom?
Yeah.
That's what those 57
Yeah.
years have brought you to. Now
Yeah,
that you're
but-
37.
But you have
Right?
the same wisdom. You have
Now
the
that he's
same-
37, he's
But
got all
then,
that
Elder Tony,
wisdom.
it goes back to the same thing that we're saying, right? Try something different.
Yeah.
Try something
So
different,
you've been in
You're
the
doing it
biggest
over and over,
culprit
right.
of ever,
Right.
and obviously what
Right.
you're doing, what the culprit is saying you to do, is not working. So
Right.
try something different.
Yeah.
Again, we're on Atonement. I really like it, and we know what it means for us, and we are trying to educate you.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
man,
Absolutely.
I really like that.
And it's up to, we have the information, we're willing to share, but it's up to people to come and get those instructions and get those teachings. So if you're out there and you're interested and you really want to learn about the proper way to serve the God in this Bible, there is a proper way. It's not everyone gets to do what they want to do.
Right.
There is a proper way to serve this God. And
Amen.
if you want to get that proper way to serve this God, then if you're watching this right now, you are absolutely in the right place. Again, because of the pandemic at this point, we're not able to congregate, we're not able to get together, we're not able to come together physically as one, but we have this great medium where we can come together as a people and to teach. So that people understand about our God, that people understand about what the instructions are, so that people understand the right way to keep the instructions, to keep the teachings. You want to say, what would Jesus do? Jesus would keep the law, statutes, and commandments. He was circumcised on the 8th day. He was baptized. He prayed. He fasted. Go back and read the book of Matthew. Read his story about when he was baptized. What did he do? He fasted and he prayed.
Right.
And here we are now, because that's what this Atonement Day is about. But it's fasting and praying for a purpose, right? It's fasting and praying for a reason. We come together as a people to ask our God to forgive us for our transgressions. And here we are. The 400 years are up. Right? We talked about this. This is the new year. This is year 1. So again, for the children of Jacob, they have to start thinking of doing something different. Like you said, we've been protesting. There are captions on the internet where you see 1964 and you see 2020. And if it wasn't for one picture being black and white and the other being color,
It look the same.
you would think it's the same day, it's the same time. We've been doing that, like you said, Tony. What else we've been doing? We've been voting. Fought for
Demonstrating
for voting rights.
And then you walk around and when over in Mississippi, whatever, they would like the hose with the water and the dogs.
Absolutely.
So what are you doing today that wasn't done
Back then?
In my 40s and 50s and 60s?
Yeah.
You know?
Your 40s, you weren't even born back then. You're so young.
Yeah, okay, 40s, 50s, and 60s, you know. So what's going on now that
Absolutely.
wasn't going on back then?
Right.
You know, only thing maybe it has because the prophecy,
Mm-hmm.
the 400 years, and the God of Israel just have magnified everything.
Right.
You know, at this time, but, you know, but the killing of the black man, but then black people not only been killed by the white man, but black people killing themselves.
Yeah.
Uh,
So absolutely, no, absolutely, it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. And you know, we don't have to put any labels on it and say, oh, there's no such thing as black on black crime and all these sorts of things. Whatever it is,
right.
we are suffering.
Yeah.
And we keep doing the same things to try to get us out of that suffering.
Right.
And what we're saying as Israel is there's an opportunity this year.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity. If you have breath in your body, there's an opportunity for you to do something different for yourself and as your people to get us out of the situation that we're in. We can't keep beating our heads against that brick wall and expecting to be able to walk through it.
Right.
That's not going to happen. You got to go around it. You got to go around it. And here's the God of Israel with the instructions.
Yeah.
And here we are as Israelites,
The teacher.
with the solution to the problem. Right? Afflict yourself. Afflict your souls. Fast and pray.
Yeah.
Come back to your God.
Right.
And even if you're not a descendant of the children of Jacob, even if you're not a descendant of slavery here in the Americas, in this America, and you just you've seen this book in this Bible and you want to serve the God that's in this Bible and you want to do it in the right way, come see us here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, because we're ready to teach. We have the solution. You may have the solution sitting in your home in this book, but you just can't find it.
Yeah.
So find us and we'll help you. Again, the time just goes by so fast.
I know, because there's so much stories, there's so much examples. You know, I just want to add one to it, Elder Kurt, because it's in the book of Mark 9 and 29, right? So the story was told about the father who had his son, and the son had a dumb and deaf spirit. And, you know, they went to the disciples and they tried doing whatever and they couldn't get this guy's son, you know, good. So they went to Jesus and he said, come on, man, how long have you been with me? Don't you understand? The only way you can do this is by fasting and prayer.
Exactly.
So we understand, and this is in the New Testament, long after the instruction in Leviticus that was given, and here we are. So man, there's no place like Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, just like you're saying. And if you're listening, you know, tune in, send your comment, call, because we're here. That's what we're here for, to teach. Again, the student can go to school and teach themselves.
Amen.
And the student can go to school and teach the teacher.
No.
That's what the teacher is there for, right?
Sure.
The teacher is there to teach the student. So we definitely want to just thank you for lending us some of your time tonight. We hope that you've taken something away from this that can help you in the future. Again, if you enjoyed what you saw tonight, smash that like button, comment, share, even donate if you feel so inclined. We are here Friday nights at 7:30, Saturdays at 2 o'clock as well. So look us up here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. We're on YouTube, we're on Instagram. We have so much information. We have so much knowledge about who our God is and what our God requires of us as a people and even individuals. So if you want to serve this God, or you are a child of the descendants of slaves, and you want to come back to your God and your culture and your traditions, then we are here for you. Again, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And with that, I bid you peace.
Peace.